Hello everybody, my name is Don MacLaren and I'm coming to you from the outskirts of Shanghai, China. I am posting this video to YouTube today, April 6th, 2014, because I want to discuss a little bit about a gentleman named Mr. Tony Marano, who I encountered recently in a March 22 Japan Times article on him and other non-Japanese who take a sympathetic view of the right-wing element in Japan, which has become quite vocal in recent years. And this right-wing element in Japan believes that Japan's actions in World War II are misunderstood, that Japan's actions in World War II were noble, and that Japan was not a villain in World War II. Now, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent. There has been quite a bit of discussion in social media about Mr. Marano and about that Japan Times article. And in fact, since that Japan Times article was published, there have been 2 articles published under Mr. Marano's name, either under his name or about him in Japanese periodicals concerning his views and the views of the right wing in Japan. Now, I went to a website I sometimes check because I find the debate on that website very interesting, debito.org, debito.org, which is run by Mr. Debito Arudo, a naturalized Japanese citizen. Now, in that video that Mr. Arudo linked on a discussion about Tony Marano and the right wing in Japan and the non-Japanese who are sympathetic to the right wing, there is a discussion Mr. Marano gives about no foreigners allowed signs in front of Japanese business establishments. And there was a well-documented lawsuit regarding racial discrimination over those signs that were prohibiting non-Japanese people from coming into the business establishments. The lawsuit was concerning hot springs, public baths, onsen, they're called in Japanese, on the northern island of Hokkaido. Now, in that video, Mr. Marano says there was a quote-unquote liberal American who initiated the lawsuit over racial discrimination, and Mr. Marano suggests that this liberal American was imposing his litigious American ways, initiating a frivolous lawsuit in Japan, which Mr. Marano suggests is a non-litigious society and very averse to frivolous lawsuits. I want to tell Mr. Marano that he is wrong about that. I have experienced litigation in Japan, including litigation as a defendant in a Japanese civil court, a frivolous lawsuit. Now, I'll jump into that. The visa sponsor I had, who was also my employer and who I was thus completely dependent on for my livelihood in Japan, was a trading company in Fuchu, Tokyo. I was a writer and translator at that company. I had lived in Japan for a little over 4 years before I began working at that company. I had studied Japanese very hard on my own mostly, became fluent enough to become a translator and also interpreter. And in the course of my work there at this company, which is called USC Limited, Kabushiki Gaisha USC in Japanese, the company was ordering me to take part in defrauding USC Limited's clients by translating, forging, and sending out fraudulent documents. Because the company was my visa sponsor, because I was not in a very good financial position, I could not just quit the company. I sought help, consulted with many different people, finally got a labor union, a national labor union, to represent me in negotiations in which I requested the company apologize to its clients, apologize to me in writing, and come clean about this fraud that it was perpetrating. There are also some other things that were not as important to me about my work conditions, promises I've been made verbally regarding pay and benefits. In the course of negotiations, the company stated unequivocally that I had absolutely no responsibility for this fraud, and they gave me a verbal apology, and they gave us a proposal for a written apology, and we were negotiating that. The company wound up requesting that the labor union submit a proposal, including a monetary settlement, to settle all claims that I had with the company, including, of course, and most importantly, the fraud. Now, after receiving that proposal that the company requested from the labor union, the company turned around and took me to court over the amount of the proposal, the monetary amount. The company also made a 180-degree turn and accused me of being a willing participant in the fraud. So I felt I had no choice but to countersue. And in order for the union to continue to help me, I had to continue working for the company. And after almost a year and a half in court, I was awarded everything I had initially requested and that the union had requested, including the amount of a little bit over 5 million yen. This was in 2001. 5 million yen at the time was more around 40,000 US dollars. The company also acknowledged in the settlement that I had absolutely no responsibility for the criminal activity. Now, Mr. Marano, I believe that is a frivolous lawsuit. It is not the only litigation I've gone through in Japan. I've been through other litigation that I felt I had no choice but to undertake. That litigation was over months of unpaid wages by an employer who was also my visa sponsor and the visa sponsor of many other foreigners, who also employed many Japanese people. That company actually was taken to court twice, and you can read about it in the link below. Now, I say the company was taken to court twice, once by me and a group of employees that were requesting a total of 3 months in unpaid wages. Then after I quit the company hired new employees, and those employees eventually also had to take the company to court for 3 months in unpaid wages. In the meantime, the company's directors disappeared, didn't show up in court, never paid anything in the second lawsuit. So I know this may all sound very disturbing and surprising and difficult to believe, but I assure you it is all true. It has been documented. Some of these stories have been, all of these stories have been documented in newspapers or published in online journals. Links below. Please comment below this video if you have any thing to say. If you have any criticism about me, I want to say that I have, despite what I went through in Japan, a deep love for Japan. I have an immense respect for Japanese culture in the form of their beautiful literature, their beautiful cinema, their art. There are also many things I don't care for in Japan, and I could say the same about my own country, the United States. So enough for now. Mr. Marano, I'm still hoping we can debate in a public forum. I have posted numerous comments under your videos, also at your website, Propaganda Buster, I believe is the name of it. You have yet to respond to me in a public forum. You did respond to me in an email and a Facebook message, which I appreciate, but I'm still waiting for a response in a public forum. It would be very nice if you left a comment under this YouTube video. Now, I want these comments anybody might send to be well thought out, to be civil. I think it's important to debate and to have discourse, but I don't want to just sling mud, and I don't want to have mud slung at me. So let's try to be polite, try to be respectful. Go ahead and give me a strong opinion, but let's be civil about it, okay? So I want to thank you very much for listening. Mr. Marano, I look forward to hearing from you. I want to thank all the people who have been debating Mr. Marano and the issues that were brought up in that March 22 Japan Times piece. And once again, you can find all relevant links below. Thank you very much for listening. Au revoir.